When was the last time you really stopped to think about the basic building blocks of a poem? Or what actually makes a story? Well, a story. Today we're going to do just that. We're going on this really fascinating journey back to the fundamentals, and we're going to rediscover the joy of literature through the crystal clear, brilliant eyes of a sixth grade textbook. Okay, so let's dive right in. Our guide for this trip is this beautifully designed textbook from Sri Lanka, made for grade 6 students who are just starting to appreciate literature. And it's such a powerful reminder, isn't it? Sometimes the absolute best explanations for really big ideas come from materials that were designed to just spark a kid's natural curiosity. And get this, the textbook literally lays out a map for the students, complete with this friendly little guide named Misty the Bee. This isn't just your boring old table of contents. It's an invitation to an adventure. You start at Dancing in the Rain, and you travel through a garden of shapes and acrostic park. It's a direct invitation to come and play. And that's exactly the path we're going to follow. So, our journey begins at the most fundamental spot you can imagine. What is the actual difference between a poem and a story? As you can see, the textbook tackles this one head-on, pitting poem versus prose. And this is just such a clever way to show the concept. On the left, you've got this simple poem, Dirt on My Shirt. And on the right, our guide Misty the Bee has rewritten the exact same ideas, but as prose. You don't even have to read it closely at first. You can just see the difference, right? The shape, the way it uses the empty space on the page. It's a brilliant visual lesson. Then, the textbook just brilliantly breaks it all down for us, analytically. Just look at this checklist. Does it have sentences? Yep, the prose version does. Does it have lines? The poem does. Stanzas for the poem? Paragraphs for the prose. It's so simple and so effective. It turns this abstract idea into a concrete set of rules you can actually see. Okay, so once we get the shape of a poem, the textbook moves on to its sound. And this is where the magic really starts to happen, as it introduces rhythm and rhyme. So how do you explain rhythm to a kid? Well, you make it physical. The textbook calls it the beat of a poem, and then right away it says click your fingers, clap your hands, or tap your feet. It's teaching that rhythm isn't just some concept, it's an action, something you can actually feel in your body. And then comes rhyme. Again, the definition is just wonderfully simple. Words that have similar ending sounds. And then it adds that crucial little clue for where to find them, often at the end of lines in a poem. It's basically handing students the key to unlock the poem's music. And right here, we see it in action. In this rain poem, you can hear it immediately. The rain was like a little mouse, quiet, small, and gray. And a few lines later, and then it went away. That pairing of gray and away, that's the stuff that gives the poem its pleasing, almost musical quality. This whole idea builds from the sound of poems to their visual form. The textbook introduces a whole gallery of creative shapes, showing us that poetry can be an art for the eyes, too. And the key takeaway here is a big one. Poetry isn't just something you hear. The way the words are laid out on the page can be just as important as the words themselves. It's basically literature as a visual art form. First up, we have shape poems. And this is just delightful. The poem is the picture. Here, the lines about a little bird going home are arranged to actually look like a bird in flight. The meaning and the image, they become one. It's an unforgettable way to teach someone about imagery. Next in the gallery are acrostic poems, and the rule here is so simple and satisfying. The first letter of each line works together to spell out a word, usually the poem's topic. So here we see an example for BE, buzzing around, eagerly, early in the morning. Simple, structured, and, very creative. And then, just to show the full range of what's possible, the textbook introduces free verse. Here, in this poem about squirrels, there's no regular rhyming pattern, no steady rhythm. It's about breaking the very rules we just learned, which shows that poetry is also about total, absolute freedom of expression. All right, now, the journey on our map takes a bit of a turn. We're moving from the world of poetry back into prose. But this time, it's about digging a little deeper into how writers make their stories come alive, using a really clever tool, the simile. And the vehicle for this lesson is this really lovely story called Bee Friendly World. Instead of just giving you a dry definition up front, the concept is woven right into a narrative about a girl who's helping bees. It teaches by showing, not just by telling. And here is the perfect example of that show, don't tell approach. Inside the story, a character just says, "My garden is like a rainbow." So the student reads this first, they get to experience that beautiful imagery before it's ever given a technical name. It's only after you see the example that the textbook gives you the definition. A simile is when we compare one thing with another using those magic words like or as. Example first, rule second. I mean, it's just such a powerful and intuitive way to teach.
And then the lesson gets reinforced with even more examples from the text. As busy as a bee, sunflowers swaying like dancers. These people are like angels. Every single one paints a more vivid picture in your mind, showing students exactly why similes are so useful for a writer.
So, we've gone from reading to understanding, but the journey doesn't stop there. The final, and maybe the most important leg of this whole journey is about making that leap from just appreciating something to actually creating it. This right here is the ultimate goal of the entire module. It knows that it's not enough to just understand how a poem works. The real joy comes from trying it yourself. This textbook is explicitly designed to turn passive learners into active creators. And it just completely demystifies the creative process. It's like, you want to write an acrostic poem? Here's the recipe. 4 simple steps. This approach breaks down what might feel like a really daunting task into these manageable, achievable little actions. This is exactly how you build a young writer's confidence. And the journey wraps up with this wonderfully empowering message. It's not think, write, and get graded. It's think, write, shine. The focus is on that personal glow of creation, on finding your own voice and letting it be seen. It's just a beautiful, positive end to the module. You know, seeing literature taught with such simple joy and clarity, it really makes you think. This isn't just for 6th graders. It's a reminder for all of us about the fundamental fun of language. And so, the question this journey leaves us with is this: when was the last time we stopped analyzing and just let ourselves play with words?